Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode, I guess is what I'm calling this. But today we're going to be covering a different company, and that company is going to be MasterCard. Visa's probably going to be coming up soon, even though those two companies are probably going to be about the same. Like, there's not much difference between the two. So let's take a look, right? So the revenue growth behind MasterCard, right, is very, very good. We can take a look. You have 16% over the last 5 years. On on the median, you have 15% over the last 10 years. The margins have been amazing. You get around a 45% margin every single quarter, consistently year after year, which does really entail this high PE of MasterCard getting a 38 over the last 5 years median, or over the last 10 years, the average is 33. So recently, its PE has expanded a little bit, which is understandable seeing the rate of growth that it's going. So about the headwinds for MasterCard. Headwinds, regulation, not really, definitely going to be something, not really that big of an issue in my opinion, right? We can see like, I really give it 2 out of 5 here, not an issue. Macroeconomic uncertainty. I don't think there's much uncertainty, even if the economy were to basically crash. I'm thinking, okay, what is the worst that MasterCard happens, right? People are still going to be spending money. People are still going to be using their cards to buy things. It has been ingrained into society to the point where it is way too difficult and really so much more convenient to use MasterCard cards compared to going out and having cash or buying with checks, if anyone still remembers using that, right? No one's, people don't want to be holding cash. They don't want to be writing checks. They want to be able to tap or swipe and leave. Competition is something that might be a thing coming up soon, but really, buy now, pay later and crypto, they're not really competitors to the classic MasterCard setup, like credit cards, right? Uh, they are, I mean, these are really what you think of when you think of essentially you want to buy things now and you put it on credit. Crypto is definitely something that could be a thing, but MasterCard and Visa have both committed to work on crypto offerings and using things on the back end of crypto with what's it called? It's called stable coins and whatnot to be able to facilitate transactions within the crypto universe. For foreign exchange volatility, it is something for Mastercard to take into account. However, it really isn't that important in the grand scheme of things. Yes, that is going to impact them, but to a lower degree than I think anyone really should worry about. A high valuation, I do put this as a slight issue with the company stock right now. The reason I don't have it as high as an issue as I did with Costco's is because the company is still growing at a really fast rate, so which does mean that it does validate its high valuation. So tailwinds, right? Uh, the shift to digital payment, like I said, people do not want to pay cash things with cash. I mean, it's a lot of things, especially if you're shopping online, you can't even pay with cash. You have to pay with a card. So shifting to that digital payment system is going to be something for Mastercard to capitalize on. They also have this value add service, which is essentially selling your backend customer data to other companies. Which I know that sounds bad, but it is like giving your credit history to other companies so that they can verify that you are who you say you are and you are a credible lender and things like that, so that other companies are able to essentially know your customer type of thing. And that is really valuable for them to have. They do have a lot of data on everyone because they have exactly basically eh, how much anyone has ever spent, and that is going to be something that they can give out to other people who are willing to pay for that. Cross-border payments. This I think is a very very high tailwind for Mastercard, simply because for Mastercard they are allowing international travel and payment internationally. And I do think that travel, as it gets easier and easier for people outside, even just within the United States, outside the United States, wherever, as that becomes more and easier and more available for people, people do want to travel. People do not like staying at home. I think it was 500 years ago, people never left like 50 miles of their hometown. Now, I don't know the number of people who even live within 50 miles of where they were born, right? So that's definitely something that we do want to take into consideration. They also have a really high profitability. I don't think that's much of a tailwind as it sounds like, simply because so much of it is already priced in. So let's take a look at, given all the tailwinds and headwinds, what the margin and revenue really come out to be, right? Where do I think this pricing is going to go out to? So I do think that an 18% revenue growth, which is slightly higher than what they've been able to produce recently, is reasonable. I do think that it's due to the fact that the value add services are a lot more. valuable to MasterCard. They have a higher profit margin and they are growing at a higher rate. Well, I wouldn't say a higher profit margin, but they're growing at a faster rate than any other portion. I think that was growing at 22%. And as that picks up steam, right, we're going to see MasterCard get higher revenue growth. Profit margin will probably maintain the same. We've seen, it's been 5 years since, and they've always been around that 45%, right? So taking a look at that, really, that intrinsic price today then would be at about a $600 per share amount, which actually is in line with what they're showing right now in the markets. So free cash flow per share price, it's a bit different, right? I do see a 16% growth in free cash flow, which, I mean, it's in line with essentially how fast they're growing their earnings and revenue. So that makes sense. The price of free cash flow about 36. This is definitely something that I do think is reasonable. It is in line with their historical price of free cash flow, but this gives us about essentially an intrinsic price of $700 per share. This is accounting for the fact that they do have $20 or about $21 per share of debt, slightly higher than Costco and some of the other companies I've covered, but the free cash flow definitely covers it for every single year, and not really something for us to be that concerned about. So overall pricing, right? Overall, right, we see that we do have that revenue and free cash flow having a gap of about $100. I do think that I would tend more towards that revenue side simply because I am partly because I'm more partial to the lower in the values. That way I can get more upside if there is upside, but also because I do think that that's a lot more of what people are looking for. People don't tend to look at that free cash flow number as much. It is really just a guideline for, okay, how reasonable is this PE and price that we're seeing here, right? So free cash flow tends to be really a justification for where price is at rather than, oh, this is actually where it is, right? Uh, so that being said, target 15% above. So $715, $718 for next year is probably my target price. With the current price of 586, I probably hold on to this. You're probably getting a really good amount of upside. And if you do decide to buy in a little because of this, I wouldn't fault you. But personally, I do think that there are better opportunities out there for you to be able to find good and fast growing companies that will provide you an even bigger return. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if there's anything you guys think I went wrong with, and if there's anything that you guys would like to see me do more of, less of. If there's any companies you guys want to see me analyze. And thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.